Det är så här att jag har ju haft chansen att vara programvärd för Dafos VD Talks där vi diskuterar väldigt intressanta ämnen och bjuder in intressanta gäster, och vi har diskuterat allt från PFAS-frågan med PFAS Movement. Och vi har haft Bengt Dahlgren och diskuterat hållbart brandskydd. Vi har haft LCA-studie, diskuterat säkerhet som en förutsättning för hållbarhet. Och så har vi haft HVV, inköpsfunktionen, allmännyttans inköpsfunktion, för att diskutera hållbara leverantörskedjor. Och så tänkte vi passa på att ha den här talkshowen här idag live. Welcome. So I've already mentioned you, Thomas, but could you please tell us about who you are and what you do at Dafo, and about Dafo, of course?
And about yeah, no problem. I can take the long version.
No, take the short version, maybe.
40 years, so it's a family-owned business, and I've been owner and now the CEO, starting then a long time ago. Starting in the filling station in the workshop, so I worked myself up the way. But when we started, it was only 13 people, so now it's totally different.
What year did you start the company?
Well, I didn't start it, because it's more than 100 years old. So, yeah. No, but the odd thing is that actually that you invite me, because I think I'm the worst guy when it comes to sustainability in Sweden. Because I filled most of the halon extinguishers in Sweden. Because when I worked in the workshop, halon was the extinguishing agent, and probably Mats knows what it is, because you need to be quite old to know about freons and the ozone hole in the atmosphere. Yeah. So, and that was the case. But now halon is abandoned, and we stopped with that. But
what do you do? What kind of services do you offer?
Well, it started in 1919, as mentioned. It started only a few blocks away from here, so it was in the middle of the city, and it was a trading company in the beginning. But when my father took it over, it changed into fire protection. So kind of one-stop shopping for fire protection, I would say. That's the case. So we have a very wide product range. We sell with the largest supplier to the fire brigades. We sell fixed installation to restaurants, to data centers, but most of all, it's kind of a wholesale of fire protection equipment, like fire extinguishers, emergency lights, or heart starters, whatever.
Thank you, Thomas. And we also have Peng with us. Hi, Peng, welcome. Could you please tell us about who you are and what you do?
Yes, my name is Peng Liang, and I work as a carbon management consultant in Suyai Sustainability Agency. I'm also a renewable energy engineer from KTH. So I work on the product LCA for Dafo. And before this work here, I worked as a research engineer on wind power in Shanghai.
We're going to Shanghai.
And we're going to do a human rights diligence in Shanghai.
Yeah,
quite interesting. So we are going to talk about this LCA study that we actually conducted. And Thomas, sustainability is no longer a nice to have. Can you tell us why you wanted us to do this kind of work? And
of course, but actually you could say sustainability, that is kind of saving life and property, and that is firefighting. So I mean, that is really the core business, that is sustainability. But of course, in our business, it has been a lot of debate, discussions and so on. Part of this is PFAS, the chemicals we're using.
In the foam?
In the foam. And then of course we have this with servicing, retrofitting, replacing, buying new, scrapping. So this is a big issue because we sell products that are not meant to be used. So we kind of put them on the wall and then we just service them and replace them, and that is a bit odd in a way.
And what was the purpose of doing this LCA? Why did you want us to conduct this? Because you gave us the assignment to do this.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's for many reasons, of course, sustainability is important. I mean, I have 4 kids, grandchildren, and I like...
it's an intergenerational business.
But also this, I mean, we would like to take the leadership. I mean, this is becoming more and more important to all our customers. And we see the change in some areas like the fire brigades and the big users of foam has already changed, but now we see from almost all customers that they want sustainability is very important. So we would like to prove facts, not just talk.
Yes, and we're going to talk about the study now. So, Peng, could you please tell us about the study that you conducted, because you led the study? I was actually a part of that also. So, could you please tell us about the method and the model?
Yes. So, the purpose of this study is to compare two most important products of Dafo. One is the 6 kilo powdered fire extinguisher, and the other one is the 9 liter foam fire extinguisher. So to combine, to compare these two products under two different usage scenarios. So we call these two scenarios linear model and circular model. The linear model is very easy to understand. It's just a conventional way people use fire extinguishers. So the customer buy a fire extinguisher from a retailer, and then they use it, and when it expires, they just discard the entire thing and buy a brand new one. It's very easy to understand. But in the circular model, we are interested in. So after the fire extinguishers expires, they are collected back to Dafo to refill. And the cylinder of the extinguishers and the useful content in the cylinder will be reused to produce new fire extinguishers. So we are interested in how much CO2 emission could be reduced if we choose to use the circular model instead of the linear model.
And why do you think this is important to compare? Because you wanted us to compare between those two. I understand that the 6 kilo powder lifespan it's 10 years, and the 5 approx
depends on what
but in a linear model, and the 9 liter foam extinguisher is used for only 5 years.
Yeah. It depends a bit on different scenarios, different kind of. But it's an odd thing that the same extinguisher looks pretty much the same in 30 years' time, but the lifetime has been shortened and shortened and shortened due to the business model. You're scrapping, selling new ones.
Yeah.
And that's
how society works today.
Yeah, in a way it is. So with clothing, everything. That's the way. But that is not necessary. It is different in Cuba and in Finland, for instance. So it differs a lot. And we would like to have proof of concept, proof facts, to see if we can move in this direction. Because there's quite a few extinguishers that are scrapped every year.
So, Peng, could you just tell us about the methodology that you use? Because I don't know how many of you that works with LCAs, that this is a really important topic to understand also in the company, especially when you're talking about circularity and prolonging the lifetime of the products and materials.
Yes, so in this study, we quantify the climate change impact of the products through its entire life cycle. So this is a cradle to grave LCA, in this study we choose to limit the scope of the study to greenhouse gas only inventory. This is in accordance with the GHG protocol. Product life cycle accounting and reporting standard. And in the entire study, we follow the instructions and framework of GHG protocol product standard. So here we can see the steps of the framework. So at the beginning, we define the business goals. We discuss with Dafo, we understand the products and the manufacture process of it. And we review the principles and the fundamentals of the study, and then define the scope and set the boundaries. So in our case, we choose to study the entire life cycle of these two fire extinguishers, and we define the entire life cycle into 5 phases, including the production, the upstream transportation, downstream transportation, refill, and disposal. Then we go to the most important part, which is collect the data and assess the data quality, which is also quite heavy work.
It was very time consuming because I was part of this, and I think we read hundreds of pages from World Steel Association.
Yes, exactly.
On steel manufacturing in China. That's quite hard work. Yes.
Yes, and after that, we also have several different stages like perform allocation, assess uncertainty. This is also another difficult part. And in the end, we calculate the inventory results. Because we followed the GHG protocol, we have a GHG only inventory. So in the end, our result is presented in kilogram CO2 equivalent, which means that the climate change impact of the product is equivalent to the potential global warming, caused by this much of CO2 emitted to the atmosphere. So in the end, we perform assurance and report the inventory result. And then,
And then we have the result here. So can you tell us about the results, Peng?
Yes, so here we have the result. We compared these two different types of flare extinguishers, and for each of them, we compared two different suppliers. One is from Poland, the other one is from China. And we can see that the extinguishers from Poland always have slightly lower carbon emissions than the ones from China. That's mainly because if you see the green parts, that's the production. And in the production stage, like the majority of it is caused by the steel production. So because the Polish suppliers, they use the steel produced in Europe, so that's why it has a lower carbon emission. And also that the transportation from Poland to here is much shorter than the transportation from China to here, of course. But if we consider generally speaking, like we compare from a linear model to a circular model, the relative reduction are quite similar. Like we have, if we use a circular model, we can say that we will save 47% to 55% of carbon emission by using circular model instead of linear model.
So the emissions are decreasing by
exactly.
almost from 47 to 55% using a circular model. And this is only by refilling, because we haven't looked at design and transportation other parts, because circularity could be much broader also. Do you have any comments on the result? Is this... No, you have already seen this before, but what are your take on this?
First of all, we need the result, because if we go to big customers, they don't just listen to us saying something. They want proof, and we need this, and they need it for their reporting.
Yeah.
But actually, we talked a little bit before this meeting now about China versus Poland, and I was surprised the difference wasn't more
that
than this.
Big.
No,
yeah.
That's bit surprising. Everyone expects it to be much more emission when it comes from China, but
but then we have other questions. For example, the human rights aspects in China and transportation aspects. We will check them now.
Yes.
You see that I'm really hard on Thomas here. I did all the questions now for the human rights diligence. So we have different aspects, but regarding the climate aspect, we can see that still is quite a big decrease by using this circular business model, just by refilling it. And as you said, Thomas, this is a good way to go to customers and to get new businesses. What are the main opportunities besides that, and the main challenges that you see going forward with this?
Opportunities you mentioned, that is really to be market leader. Take the leadership here and go to big customers and win them over. So that is. But there are a lot of challenges. I mean, we have standards. Saying how often you should refill an extinguisher or when what you should do with it, and they are kind of limiting us all the business. We have customers, tenders, where they write in certain specifications which are not really aligned with this. So there are things to be changed.
And we still have long agreements.
Yes, of
course.
For
the linear model.
We still have customers buying a lot of PFAS extinguisher that is not related to this, because that is in the agreement, in the tender.
Yes.
They cannot change, or they don't think they cannot change. So that's a little bit odd in a way.
Yes.
So then, of course, another thing is really the business model, the earning model in the business. We earn money from selling new extinguishers, so we need to find a new method.
Yeah, and I think that's a big problem for all industries, actually, that the revenue streams for the business. So it's not the business model; it's like the dimension of revenue streams in that business model.
Yeah, and
how can we earn money by doing the circular approach?
And if there is a public tender, you cannot go there and say that we will sell this product as a service, because that is, they have the tender is here. You need to comply with that, and that is selling a new extinguisher. So we cannot do by ourselves change this. So it takes some time.
Yeah. And I think that most of you recognize this from your own businesses, that even though you want to do good, it's really hard because you have agreements, you have policies, you have standards, you have ways of doing things, you have other legislation that goes against this.
Yeah, and also practical things. I mean, we have employed new people, we have bought new machines in the workshop, because it's quite a difference to buy a new extinguisher or service them or refill them. That's a big change.
Yeah, so it's capacity, but also capabilities within the company that you need to approach.
Yeah. We can handle that. It's more the mental thing of customers and the sales team, I would say.
Yeah. Peng, what would you say, because you have conducted this, what would you say were the main challenges by doing this kind of study?
I would say the main challenges are data collection, data quality, and uncertainty assessment. Data collection is always like a burdensome work in this kind of study. Like, for example, if an LCA is conducted in like huge manufacturing plants, it usually takes really long time, just because everything and every step must be measured. And after the measurement, to get good quality data, and you also need to find information from hundreds of reports, for example, like what we did for the steel production.
Yes.
Another thing is about the uncertainty assessment. So when we use CO2 intensity or emission factors in our calculation, they're from various data sources, but not all of them will provide a corresponding uncertainty level of their data. So sometimes we have to abandon some data and try to find like better data source for it.
What would you say are the benefits of conducting this? Would you recommend other companies to do this for their products and services?
Yes, I would say that though there are some challenges in this work, it's worth it for companies to do LCA for their products and services. It's because that after this work, after the LCA, and the companies will get baselines, environmental or economic baselines for their products and services. And baselines are quite important for real changes. As people said, what gets measured gets done.
Yes. Before we go or mingle or take questions from the audience, Thomas, I just wanted to know, because the other day I was reading about new trends in circularity. That's me reading all the time. And the new trend is IoT, to monitor things. And I know that you have a new project, because you always have new projects in Dafo. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Because it relates to circular economy and new business models.
Yeah, and we're proud of it. And you didn't know that we applied for patent this week.
No, I didn't know, because I was in Cuba without connection. I shouldn't go to Cuba that often. But tell us.
We already did in Sweden, so this was for
but tell us about the device that you applied for patent.
Yeah, this is a smart monitoring device, IoT-based connectivity for fire extinguisher monitoring. I mean, it's rather funny. We have a lot of, in the country there are thousands of service technicians running around checking extinguishers that are fully okay, because there's very seldom that's a problem. So this is really a lot of effort put into not getting so much out of it. So now we have done this project, And this is then to monitor both fire extinguisher, but also emergency lights and other devices 24/7 all year around. I mean, if you go there once in a year, you see it once, and then anything can happen. But now we will have this. It will take some time, of course, but we have a project going. And this is really, it's a very good fire protection, because we will know 100% of the time that we have a good fire protection, but it's also sustainability, because we don't have to run around checking things that are...
We don't have to transport our technicians to every place to check. We will monitor them. So it's really, really good to see also how technology or digitalization could help in those circular business models, and especially for a fire extinguisher. I never in my life thought that you could do so much with a fire extinguisher. It's like really exciting to
now we have VR also, so you can do
VR, IoT, circular economy. Yeah, we will take some questions. Yes, please.
Sorry, how many fire extinguishers do you have in Sweden?
I don't know exactly, but it said 2 million PFAS extinguishers. So, and in Norway they say roughly 10 million. They have more there. So I would say that we are above 10 million something.
So it's a useful device.
This one, yes. I don't think every consumer will have it in their private homes, but if you go for a business, I mean, if you have a business, you have to monitor and take care of your security. That's a part of the workers' protection regulations. So this is really an opportunity, not only in Sweden.
Yes, we have another question there.
Just a question: how will they communicate with the?
We are looking on different, but we have the gateway Wi-Fi. We have LoRa, and we're also looking into, if this is not possible, we have an SMS card in them. Yeah, so there are different options. So, but they are not really on the market yet, so this is that's really just on the patent. But we have the project running, and we have samples, devices.
It's super exciting to see what you can do with different products. Do you have any more questions for our guests? If yes, we have a question here.
Was there any additional design changes needed to move over to the circular from the linear? I mean, refilling, is that the only add-on, or was it...
When you check now, we haven't finalized this actually.
No, we are still running.
More steps, and the design thing is very important, because there are regulations when to scrap an extinguisher, when to refill it, and so on. And these regulations are a bit old-fashioned, and if you have modern extinguishing agents, you can prolong the lifetime of them. And that is the problem.
But actually, we were also discussing the thickness of the container. Do you need that much steel, for example, to produce it? Could we do it like lighter, because different extinguishers has different weight? So that's another question that we're looking at. And what we are doing right now is that we are building a database with different types of products, and we're going to look at design, we're going to look at transportation, but a really important aspect of this is the LCA business model. So you don't only do an LCA for the product, but you do an LCA, life cycle assessment, for the whole business model. How do we serve those extinguishers? How do we sell them? What kind of resources do we need to do that in the whole business model? So that's a part of that. But designing is really, really important also, of course. And waste management, that's another question that we need to look more specific on.
Yeah, there's a lot of waste
and
now,
there's a lot of
because
waste,
we're scrapping also a lot of PFAS extinguishers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you don't have any more questions, I would like to thank you, Thomas and Peng, for coming and telling us about Dafo. A big round of applause for you. Thank you so much.